Hello and welcome once again to the Daily Message. Today, the important woman in the history of Christianity, whom you probably never have heard of, whom I will discuss, is Jeanne Jugan. Jeanne Jugan grew up in a small town in France in 1792 during the time of the Revolution. And those who openly practiced their faith at that time were not only ridiculed, but they were in danger. They were often either imprisoned or killed. So Jeanne received her faith formation secretly and at great risk. She received it from her mother and from another group of women. By the time Jeanne was 4 years old, her father had been lost at sea. So her mother was forced to find odd jobs to make ends meet. As a young girl, she worked as a shepherdess. She learned to knit and spin wool. And later she went to work as a kitchen maid for a wealthy family. She barely knew how to read and write. Her education consisted mostly of on-the-job training, doing whatever she was called to do. By the time she was barely out of her teens, she received what she believed to be her call from God. But even after that, it took many years for her to discover her true vocation. It happened one cold winter night when she met an elderly, blind, disabled woman who had no one to take care of her. Jeanne carried the woman home, climbed up the stairs to her small apartment, and placed the woman in her own bed. And from that time on, Jeanne would sleep in the attic. There were more and more people who came to her doorstep after they heard about what she had done. And there were other generous young women who came to help her and to do the same things that she was doing. Like Jeanne, these women believed that the poor are our Lord. And so a religious community was started, the Little Sisters of the Poor. There were so many people in need of a home, and there were so many hungry people that the work of the Little Sisters of the Poor rapidly spread across France and even beyond that. After the congregation was started, she chose a new name for herself as a religious. It was Sister Mary of the Cross. Over time, the work of the Little Sisters continued to spread, and so did Jeanne's renown. And then one day, she was mysteriously set aside by a priest who took over the direction of the Little Sisters. She was replaced as superior, and she was sent out begging on behalf of the poor. And then one day, she was suddenly placed in retirement. She was relegated to the shadows, where she continued a life of prayer. And at the time of her death, 27 years later, the young Little Sisters of the Poor did not even know that Jeanne had been the founder of their congregation. What great humility, what great love for her to have gone on, carried on, despite the humiliations that she suffered. Thank you for watching. I hope you have been inspired and learned a little something about Sister Mary of the Cross and about the Little Sisters of the Poor. Have a great day today.